Suppose you want to maximize your chances of being injury-free and succeeding in the sport of running or jogging. In that case, you should pay attention to the following advice and follow it religiously. Advice on running and jogging for beginner runners. Learning how to run or jog may be challenging due to the large amount of information and jargon that must be sorted through. Adhering to these straightforward guidelines may enhance your chances of avoiding injury and performing to the best of your abilities. Running lowers your resting heart rate, increases your general fitness, decreases that extra fat, and promotes muscular strength. All these things contribute to an increase in your basic fitness level and, among other things, make you feel pretty darn good about yourself. To get started with a jogging program, you don't need any expensive training equipment or a subscription to a fancy gym. Nevertheless, there are several tactics that you can follow to ensure that you are getting the most out of your running while also decreasing the chance of injury. What should you take into account just before you start running? Suppose you have any pre-existing health issues that you believe may be made worse by running or could cause you difficulties in the long term. In that case, it is a good idea to see a doctor before starting a new running routine, just as it is a good idea before beginning any new kind of physical exercise. If you are overweight, you should talk to your doctor because even a small amount of running places tremendous pressure on the weak leg and hip joints, which may already be delicate on an overweight person. Running businesses a lot of pressure on these joints, so if you are overweight, you should talk to your doctor. Foot type and selecting the appropriate footwear. Jogging requires that you have footwear that is suitable for the activity. Even though the vast majority of people shouldn't feel compelled to spend a lot on the most expensive running shoes, you must take into account the following points. If you want to avoid the risk of impact injuries, such as microfractures and damage to your joints, you should get a pair of shoes that provides cushioning and ankle support. You are most likely what is known as a pronator if you have flat feet or arches that have collapsed, and if you are aware that you have either of these conditions. This condition, in which your foot rolls excessively to the outside edge when running, is highly prevalent among runners of all abilities and may be uncomfortable. If you are what is known as a pronator, then there is nothing for which you need be concerned. Nonetheless, you really should acquire yourself a pair of what are known as stability trainers, which will regulate the outward movement of your foot and lessen the stress that jogging will bring to your joints. Your initial steps into the game. When you first start jogging, you must go at a leisurely pace in the beginning so your body can get acclimated to the new activity until it becomes second nature. If you don't do this, you might end up with an injury preventing you from running, which is the last thing anybody would ever want to happen. To gauge how well your body responds to exercise for the first time, your first jog should consist of more of a walk, shuffle, jog combination. First, do a thorough warm-up composed of 5 to 15 minutes of walking, and then set a goal to jog at a consistent speed for 5 minutes. After the first 5 minutes, you should stroll for 2 minutes if you feel out of breath. After that, pick up the pace and jog at a constant tempo for another 5 minutes if you still feel strong. Maintain this rhythm for a few more repetitions, and then walk for 10 minutes as a cool down afterward. This first exercise aims to observe your body to determine better how to train for the following session. In subsequent sessions, you will need to lengthen the amount of time spent jogging in cycles and cut down on the recuperation time between each jogging phase. Technique is key. In the beginning stages of your running career, it is essential to emphasize running technique strongly. This is because if you learn correct running posture and form in the beginning stages of your running career, you won't have to adjust your technique when you reach the later stages. Having good quality jogging technique is crucial since you can run effectively, which means you can run for much longer with far less effort. If you keep good form when you jog, you will considerably reduce the risk of injury linked with jogging. This is important to keep in mind from a health and fitness perspective. When running, you should have a back that is more or less straight and bends slightly forward from the waist. If you gaze ahead rather than down, your entire body should automatically align itself most effectively. This is one of the reasons why beginning runners often have problems with this aspect of running. If you run while bending over, you are putting significant strain on your lower back, which is not a good idea. When it comes to your jogging stride, you should move your legs in a way that is practically identical to cycling. Additionally, you should ensure that your feet are roughly aligned with the direction you are running for the most efficient stride possible. All of this may seem like a lot to take into account when you first begin running, and you should find that after a while, you develop a productive style of running that makes it much simpler to continue running in the years to come.